Do you sometimes feel trapped in a decision? You have two options, either or, but none of both decisions is a good one. Or do you have experience in situations where you discuss a problem with your team and you make a decision, but next week or a month after you speak about the same issue again, and the month after again. So obviously the decision you made was not the right one in order to really solve the problem. My name is Michael. I'm co-founder of Triangility, and business coach. I'm also a leadership instructor. I work with leaders every year, every day. And in this video, we want to talk about our way of thinking coming from an either-or thinking into an as well as thinking. And the good news is we need both. So let's start with why do we think in either-or? When we look into our daily practice, there's lots of either-or situations, right? And we call it dualism. So there's two things. You cannot do both at the same time. So you either do this or you do that. Very simple in organizations. It's either it's wrong or it's right. And it's called a rule, yeah? If you are in a situation, you have to make a decision, then maybe there's a guiding rule telling you what is right or what is wrong. In organizations today, there's lots of, I call it artificial dualism. And as an example, if your company is challenged to create a sustainable business model, so you're coming from a profitable business, a profitable organization, and now you have to create a sustainable organization by reducing your carbon emissions, reducing waste, and so on and so on. And some managers, a lot of managers feel that is, you have to make an either-or decision. Either you remain profitable or you become a sustainable company. This is what I call an artificial dualism, because they are not linked to each other in the first place. Because the opposite from a profitable business is a not profitable business. And from a sustainable organization, a not sustainable organization. But we link them together and create a dualism that doesn't exist. So why do we think in these kind of either-or thinking? Imagine you're driving your car and you're approaching a traffic light, and that is red. And you probably don't need to think. It's just a reaction to a red traffic light, which keeps you braking, and you stand still with your car waiting for the green light. It's a very simple thing, right? There's a rule. If it's green, you can drive. If it's red, you have to stop. So we can make quick decisions even without thinking, just based on reaction. And that is why simple rules, either or, is very helpful in our daily practice. It just becomes an issue when the rules, once created maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago, are not longer sufficient in an increasingly complex environment. When we have to create new opportunities, new options, new, decisions, ways to solve problems which don't fit into a simple either-or. And that's what a lot of organizations are in at the moment. They have created these simple rules. Every process is a series of rules that tells you at each step what is right, what is wrong, right? But in other complex environments, new situations that we haven't faced before, that way of thinking is too simple. It simplifies complexity in a way that is not appropriate in this situation. So we need to get away from either or and getting into an as well as thinking. Ambidexterity is the word for that. So how can we start thinking in a way, maybe we don't need to do either this or that, maybe sometimes we need to do both. So as an organization, and based on my example before, as an organization we have to remain profitable, yes. On the other side, we also have to become sustainable. So what we aim for in order to dissolve this conflict, create an environment where profitability and sustainability are integrated, right? And that's probably a new paradigm. It's a new way of thinking. It's away from either or towards as well as. So how can we do that? There's different ways to learn that way of thinking. Remember, we are used to either or, quick decision. It saves energy. It doesn't cost you a lot of time and energy to make a decision. It's zack, 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 zack. But in other situations, we need to slow down and we need to remember, oh, wow, this is a complex scenario. That is something where an old rule from the past or an artificial dualism doesn't offer enough options to act. So we need to increase opportunities. We need to find new ways to deal with. And a way to do that is a very simple thing called wicked question. It's one of the liberating structures. It's a set of small and larger workshop structures that I personally love, and I apply those structures in almost every training and workshop that I do. And by the way, in the video content and the additional material, you will find a link to the liberating structures in both German and English language. Anyway, wicked question is exactly overcoming either or thinking. So remember the situation, profitability versus sustainability. In order to overcome that and to integrate both worlds, we just ask a simple question. Under which conditions is profitability and sustainability not longer a conflict? Whoa. So how must we create an environment, change our way of thinking, where we can imagine there is something like a profitable sustainability, or the other way around, sustainable profitability? And probably now we start thinking, maybe together with a team of people, what are the conditions we have to change? What's the environment we need to create? What are the tools we need to apply? What's the skills we need to set up in order to make that happen, that we create sustainable profitability or profitable sustainability? So that's the wicked question. You will find a lot more information on that very simple thought pattern or thinking pattern in the liberating structures. So another way to, help my client in this situation is a structure or is an exercise or pattern that is called Tetralemma, which comes from India. And they use the Tetralemma. It's not a dilemma, it's a Tetralemma for a purpose. So in a dilemma, you have the one or the other, and you have to make a decision. As I said before, and then you stick here because there's good reason for doing that or that. It doesn't help me, Okay, a Tetralemma creates a space because next to the one or the other, you also have a third option, which is both. And you have a fourth option, which is none of both. So we have the one, the other, both, or none. And that creates now a space. And imagine the situation of my client leaving a job or not because I'm unhappy. So we start a process of, moving from one point to the other, from one perspective to the other. Do I want to keep in my job, or do I want to leave my job? Is there maybe a way to do both? That seems provoking, but can you imagine a situation where you can keep your job but change it as well? Of course. You can look for other opportunities, maybe in other departments, in other subsidiaries, maybe in even our countries. So you remain with your company, but you just do a different job. Or you change the markets, or you change, the competencies and skills and, develop into a new role in the same organization. So there is something you can do both. You can kind of quit your your position, but remain in the company. So, and that's a new option that appears when you just leave behind the either-or thinking. And there's another option, which is none. Maybe it's not a decision between keeping a job or quitting a job, but it's rather looking for what's the source of my unhappiness. Why do I feel not happy? And maybe the reason is not my job, but the reason is something different. And maybe you've seen people that, quit their job every 2 years and hop from job to job, but they always create the same. They're unhappy. Even if they change companies, they're still unhappy because that's not the reason for their unhappiness. It's something different. Maybe the health conditions, relationships, the country they live in, I don't know. So the Tetralemma creates a space. There's the one, there's the other, but then we have both and we have none of that. So imagine a situation with your team. And there's a lot of discussion at the moment with your team about profitable business, efficiency, productivity, and so on. On the other side, sustainability. And people are fearing, if invest money into sustainability efforts, we need to recreate a lot of processes, production, and so on. We need to create new products. There's high investments into sustainability, and that probably puts risk on our profitability. So as a team, and first of all yourself, your way of thinking is, okay, using the Tetralemma, is there maybe something we can create both? Under which conditions we need to create a profitable, sustainable business? Or is the entire discussion you have with your team maybe not rooted in this decision between profitability and sustainability? Maybe it's something different. Maybe it's personal, it's cultural. Maybe there are some conflicts in the organization or between team members, some fear, something else that appears now, and the front of it is a discussion about the one or the other. But if you look deeper, it's something different. So using the Tetralemma is a way for yourself and for your team to get deeper and to overcome simple either-or thinking. Overcome dualism and inspire your thinking and your team as well to find new options, to find new decisions and test new things. And even if it seems provocative, can we do both? Or maybe we speak about something that's not really the problem because it's none of that. But it creates a new space for you as a team, for your organization to sort out new opportunities. And by the way, we created a template for the Tetralemma. You will find the link as well under this video and on our website. So finally, I probably gave you some inspiration about thinking about your thinking and getting from an either-or thinking into an as well as thinking, into an ambidexterity. Overcome dualism. That most of the dualism we are faced with in our daily business are just artificial. We created them, but they are not real dualisms. Normally we have more options, more opportunities to deal with, to cope with, to make decisions. So finally, when do we need what? As I said in the beginning of this video, making quick decisions require simple rules, wrong, right, either or. Yeah? And it's easy to teach people, it's easy to create signs and to make rules, but it brings us in some situations into difficulties because we miss a lot of other or new opportunities to act. So effectively we need both. if we have knowledge and experience and we figure out what's the right or the best way to do something, we can create a simple rule and then we can stick to the rule as long as the situation and context hasn't changed. But whenever we are pushed into a complex, a new, a very dynamic situation, probably simple either or doesn't help at all. So we need to accept complexity, and now we create this space, remember the Tetralemma, that offers us a lot of different and new opportunities to deal with. So the first decision we must make, is it a simple problem or is it a complex problem? And then we adjust our way of thinking and decision making accordingly. So it's not either or thinking, is as well as thinking in this sense as well. Thank you.